welcome to Lauren Reed Color. In today's Saturday Snippets video, we are moving on to the final nature scene in Small Victories by Johanna Basford. So if you've been following along, you'll know that we colored each one of these scenes with a different brand of pencils because I wanted to check out how each brand works on this paper. So we colored this one with Polychromos, Prismacolor, Caran Luminance, Derwent Colorsoft, Castle Arts 120 pencils, and this last little scene will be Caran Pablo pencils. Again, if you've been watching, you know that so far I think my favorite is the Luminance, and I think after that the Prismacolor, and then the Castle Arts. My least favorite so far has actually been the Polychromos. I think the reason for that is that the paper actually has a smooth surface. There is some texture to it, but not as much as Polychromos pencils likes. So far, so good. Nevertheless, the results have been absolutely wonderful for all these little images. If you can hear a munching dog in the background, that is just Tobie. He's having his breakfast, even though it's a bit earlier than usual. Okay. Anyway, I digress. So let's just go over the pencils that we'll be using. Okay, so as I said, we're using Caran Pablos. For the flowers, we are using, well, I think I'll just read through the numbers and then you'll see in the image which ones go with which element. Okay, so we're going to use 111, which is mauve. Okay, that's lilac in, actually, I think it's Parma Violet. Yeah, Parma Violet in Prismacolor. Then we have lilac, which is 110, which would be, I think it's violet in Prismacolor. You already had your breakfast. Hold on one second, I have to talk to the dog. Sorry about that. Tobie was convinced that he should get seconds. Where was I? Right, so next we have a 120, which is violet, which in Prismacolor is a dioxazine purple hue. I think that's how you pronounce it. Then we have the leaves, which are the teal colors. So we have 181, which is light green, which would be, I would think maybe powder blue in the Prismacolor. Okay, then we have opaline green, which is 195, which is parrot green. Then we have 211, which is jade green, which is light aqua. The colors are not exact matches. Then we have 160, which is cobalt blue, which would be cerulean blue or maybe even denim blue in Prismacolor. My recommendation is just to look at the swatches and try to match it to your Prismacolors if you don't have the Caran Pablos. Then we have 170, which is azure blue, which is peacock blue. And then we have 180, which is malachite green, which is it's dark aqua, I think it's called. Hold on one second, let me just check. Sorry, it's cobalt turquoise. And then we have two pinkish colors. So we have light purple, which is 091, which is lavender. And we have purplish red, which is 350, which is process red. Okay, so those are the colors that we will be using on this page. As Caran Pablo pencils are a little bit more muted than some of the other pencil brands that we've been using, it will be interesting to see the results that we get. Again, if you are new to this type of video, it's a pretty chatty video. I talk about all sorts of things, books I'm reading, things I've done, and if you prefer a quiet video, please feel free to mute me or put on your favorite music and color along with us. So let's get going. Okay, so we are zoomed in and we are going to start with these bluebell-like flowers. I am going to put down a base of this 111, which is mauve, and I'm not sure, maybe we won't do it on all the flowers. We'll see. So let's just, the highlight is going to be at the bottom, the top, I think at the top, yeah, we're gonna put the highlight at the top. Okay, so let's just do that. I'm thinking let's do this one slightly different so that they're not all too uniform. So let's do the light purple 091 for this one. And maybe that one as well. We don't want it to be too uniform. So a different base coat will give it a slightly different color. Okay. These Pablo pencils have an interesting feel to them. They are almost like pastel pencils with that dusty feel to them. I don't know what else to call it. To me, it feels like you're you know, putting dust down. Anyway, right now we're going in with our next color, which is lilac. It is 110. Okay, we're going to leave the highlight at the top. So I'm just going to put this at the bottom. Okay, and some flicking motions to get the blend. I think we might also need a white. We'll see. Okay. Right, so as I said earlier, these videos are chatty videos. So I hope that you are all having a good weekend and that you have either fun plans or just planning on resting and coloring. My week was, I'm trying to think, what did I do this week? If you've been watching the channel, you know that I've been undergoing some medical tests, so I've still been doing those. But the most interesting thing about going on these medical tests isn't actually the tests themselves. It's that my roommate, she comes with me. We're going to do this color. No, we're going to do this color, which is the purplish red. So she comes with me to these tests because you often need someone to accompany you. So she's been doing that for me. And yeah, she has got what I call magic parking. It doesn't matter where we go. As soon as we arrive, people start leaving. And so she always manages to get such great parking spots. I do not have magic parking. Sometimes I think her magic might be rubbing off on me just a little bit. But then the next time I go without her, I cannot find a parking to save my life. Okay, now we're doing the darkest purple, which is violet. Okay, and only on the bottom. Okay. And I think then we're going to get some white to blend. Anyway, so I've been doing some of that this week. I also went to the pool yesterday, which was fun. I do aerobics in the water. And I really like the instructor. She gives a proper workout, which is good because my arm, I tore my rotator cuff if you're new here, and so that workout is great for it. Okay, I'm just gonna get the Prismacolor white. Okay, and I'm just going to blend the top of these little blue bells, or now they're purple bells, to keep my highlight. I think we'll put some more pink in. I'm wondering, I think putting a different base layer didn't really make much of a difference. So I might... Yes, I hear you. You're squealing. Hold on one second. I have to check why he's squealing. Okay, he has complaints about the service at this hotel. All right, so we're putting in that light purple on the ones where we wanted a different... I think I might even put some blue in these. And the lilac, the mauve in the others. I'm thinking maybe I'll put some blue. They've come out kind of uniform anyway. Okay, so we're just putting in the pink again, the purplish red. Sometimes you have these great plans about how something will look in your head, and then what comes out on the page isn't exactly what you had in your head. All right, let's also put some blue. We're going to put the cobalt blue, 160, but just a tad. In random spots. Okay, yes, I like that. Okay, let's move on to these big leaves, which I'm going to make a teal color. Okay, so we're starting off with the light green, 181. So we're going to just put a base layer. Let's do these two big ones to start with. Right, so I went to the pool and I really like the workout that the instructor gives. She works on all the muscle groups. Right. So we're going to put the highlight at the top. So here and here for these leaves. Okay. Okay, so it's 170, which is azurite blue. Okay, so as I said, we're putting the highlight there at the top. So darker on the bottom. What else did I do this week? I marked some student papers. So my students all submitted their seminar papers. I have 3 students who got extensions. I have a feeling that these 3 students just are not going to be able to submit their papers. They might have to retake the course because they're just struggling. But we'll see. They did get an extension, so maybe it will work out. Okay, for this one, we're going to do... Here on... Oh, we're squealing again. He doesn't like it when I don't pay him attention. So we're squealing a bit. Yeah, so they're not going to submit those ones, but I've been marking some of the others. So this week I marked one of my students. She did her paper. It's a seminar in children's literature. So they have to choose a work and a children's book or young adult. I also let them choose young adult if they wanted. And they could do anything like picture books or chapter books. Okay, let's get our next color. Cobalt blue. This is going to be our accent color, which we put in quite a few of the elements to get a cohesive look. Okay, so here I'm using slightly harder pressure, okay, to get the shadow in. Yeah, so they had to choose a work, do some research, but also think of some sort of original contribution, something that in their research they didn't find mention of, or one of the articles made a claim they didn't agree with, so they need to critique it. I'm trying to encourage them to think critically in their analysis. Some of them do it better than others, but on the whole, they've been doing a really good job. So one of the ones that I read this week was on a picture book called sorry, frog in my throat. It's on a picture book called The Highway Rat by Julia Donaldson. So in this book, you have this rat who is modeled after a traditional highwayman, and he steals the food from the other animals in the forest. He's not a very nice rat, but he learns his lesson in the story. So my student analyzed the pictures in the story, and she talked about the traditional portrayals of certain animals like rats or rabbits or foxes and stuff like that, which was interesting. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in with that light green, which is 181, and I'm just going to blend the colors. Oh, someone's groaning. Oh, we're going to be very vocal today. Sorry about that. As I said, if you're not interested in the chat, you can mute me and my noisy dog. Okay, I want to make sure I leave this highlight, and we're actually going to go in with white. Oh, just make sure I'm on the camera. Yeah, so she was analyzing the illustrations in the book. What else did she talk about? She talked about the rhyme scheme, because it's the narrative is told in rhyme, because it's for small children. So, and she was talking about how the rhyme scheme works. It was a good paper. I enjoyed it. And what else? Another student, I'm trying to think what the paper that I read yesterday, what was it about? I don't know, my memory's going. Let's take the white and just blend it out. Make sure that your pencil is clean from the previous colors. So I wipe it off. You can even scribble it on a piece of paper just to make sure that it's completely clean, because we don't want purple getting into this blue. All right, I'm trying to think, what was her paper about? Was it the Hunger Games? I think it was the Hunger Games. What was she writing about? She was writing about, oh yes, she was writing about good and evil in the Hunger Games and authoritarianism. So that was an interesting paper. So let's put the opaline green 195. Oh, yes, I like that. That's nice. Yes, so that was a good paper too. And yeah, I've only got 7 left. I really want to finish marking them by the end of September. That's my goal. Because I have to mark them so that the students can get grades and graduate at the beginning. Well, graduation's in May, so in order for them to graduate in May, their papers have to be marked in a timely fashion. Yeah, like that. Let's just deepen up those shadows once more. I'm thinking I might need some black. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get a black just to deepen up those shadows. Yes, these colors are more muted, and so even the darkest colors are more muted. I'm gonna get a black. Okay, so I've got black, which is 495. I'm not sure if this will be black enough. We'll see. Some blacks are actually grays. No, it's actually okay. Okay, so I'm just putting this in the deep, not too much, because if you've been watching my channel, you know that black can sometimes completely overtake the page and make it look dull and black and dead. So we don't want to do too much. Okay, it's enough. And now I'm going to blend that out with the cobalt blue. Yeah, this, okay, very important to blend out the black so that it creates a shadow but doesn't overtake the page. Okay, oh, that looks nice. Yeah, so in order for them to graduate on time, I have to finish marking as soon as possible. So I only have 7 left, which is good. And they should all be marked by the end of September, and then they can all graduate. Except for the ones who got extensions. As I said, I don't think they're going to be submitting. Okay. Now what I want to do is we're going to move on to these little ones. Do I want to make them the same? I'm going to make them slightly different. So I'm going to make them a bit more greeny, bluey rather than bluey greeny. So let's go back in with the light green. Let's do this one. I can hear a bird crowing outside. We have some crows in the neighborhood. I was walking along one day, minding my own business with Tobie on our walk, and one of them just like swooped down and like tried to grab my hair. That was not right. Cheeky crow. They can be a little bit aggressive. Yeah, Tobie agrees, if you can hear him in the background. Okay, so right, in order for them not to be this bluey color, we're going to put our darkest greeny teal color, which is malachite green, 180. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, they're going to come out a slightly different color. Yeah, so it was a really cheeky bird, tried to grab my hair. But Tobie barked at it, my hero. And it flew away. Yeah, so what else did I do this week? So I was reading as well. I finished the book that I was reading last week, which was Seeing Red by Sandra Brown. And if you were watching last week's Saturdya Snippet, then you know I really like Sandra Brown's writing. She has a lot of heroines who are journalists. So yeah, the heroine in this book was a journalist. I liked the book overall. I thought that the plot was just a little bit too convoluted, just too much going on and too many machinations that were difficult to keep track of. Okay, let's put in Some more of that opaline green, 195. Yeah, so, and there are some of the plot points are not properly resolved. There were a couple of unresolved open questions, and the basic premise didn't really make sense. I could never really understand why the villains were so eager to get rid of the main characters. If they had just left it alone, nothing would have happened. So I'm thinking that it was just like a plot device rather than anything truly cohesive, which is unfortunate because, she could have done a better job with that. Okay, now we're going to go back in with the light green. Okay, but make sure to leave the highlight. Yeah, so it was good overall. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the romance. I liked the characters. The hero's a bit of a jerk, even at the end. Okay, we're blending with white. Yeah, but it was good overall. And then I read another book. I had a good reading week. I read a lot. It's called Tell No Lies by Alison Brennan. Okay, we also need the black. Let me get the black again. Okay, black, 496. Okay, so again, really lightly with the black. Only in the deepest shadows. Okay, yeah, so Tell Me No Lies by Alison Brennan. So it's also theoretically in the romantic suspense genre, but Alison Brennan's writing she focuses more on the suspense elements and less on the romance. So this book is part of a series. It's called Quinn and Costa, or Costa and Quinn. Okay, wait, let's go back in with the darkest green, which was malachite green, 180, and blend out that black. So Costa is an FBI agent, and Quinn, her name's Cara Quinn, and his name is Matt Costa. She's a detective with the LAPD, but she's been, in the first book, she was put on leave from the LAPD, and she went home to her small town in Minnesota. I think it was Minnesota. And she finds a body. That's how the series begins. So just making sure I'm on camera. And then that's the first book. And then she meets Costa and his team, and they solve the case. And in this book, she's now been I don't know what's the word, seconded to the FBI, and she helps with their cases. But she's not an FBI agent. Anyway, and this book was set in Arizona. Okay, I like those leaves. Okay, so we are moving on to this one. Do I want to make it this? Yeah, this leaf is coming out from here. But I want it to be, it's little, so I'm gonna make it like these ones. Okay, so we're back with the light green. Okay. Anyway, so I was reading that book. As I said, it was set in the Arizona desert. And it was about the cases. They're investigating some illegal toxic waste dumping. This is malachite green. Yeah, they're investigating toxic dumping of slag from copper mining. And then there's some other subplots. Okay, now, no, I'm just making sure I'm getting the correct pencils. 195, opaline green. Yeah, so my problem with Alison, some of her books are absolutely great. Like the first book in the series was wonderful, 496. But every once in a while, she has a book that she just tends to, and now we're going to blend that out back with the malachite green, 180, that she just tends to tell rather than show. Like there's too much repetitive musings of the characters. There's too much repetitive rehashing of the plot details. And the book could be like 100 pages shorter. Oh, a dog in the neighborhood is barking. Oh, I like that. That came out nice. Okay. Now we are going to do these little leaves, which we're going to make pink. So light purple, 091. Even though it's light purple, it's more of a pinky color. So let's do these. Yeah, so it was just too much telling, not enough showing. But the case was interesting. I'm going to, and the romance was really secondary. Like it's an ongoing relationship development throughout the books, obviously. And so it was okay. And now I'm reading, so I finished that one. And now I'm reading a historical romance. I'm just in the mood for historical romance. I have joined a historical romance group on Reddit, which is fun. Lots of good recommendations, lots of good discussions. All right, and now we're going to go in with the purplish red. I think that says 350, yes. And I think actually this needs to be sharpened so that I get a really sharp point there. Okay, I use the Tagal sharpener. Just, I think one sharpen is enough to get a really sharp point because these images are really tiny. Yeah, so this Reddit group is fun. Okay. And so we're talking about Grace Calloway's books, and that gave me incentive to read the book that I'm reading now, which is called Pippa and the Prince of Secrets. So Grace Calloway's books are all connected to each other. So this particular series that it's called Lady Charlotte's Angels. Yes, it's it's a play on Charlie's Angels. All the heroines are private investigators in Victorian times. Okay. But all of the heroines are also daughters of couples from one of the previous series. All the series spin off one from the other. The first series was called Mayhem in Mayfair. And one of the heroines, Pippa, in fact, the one that I'm reading now, she's the daughter of one of the couples in that series. Prismacolor white, just to blend. And then we're going to go back in with the pink again. Yeah, so she's the daughter of one of the couples from that series. And then the series after that is a spin-off, and it's called Hearts of Inquiry. The heroines, and also one hero in that series, are the siblings of one of the characters in the previous series. I'm keeping track, as you can tell. I have a notebook where I write stuff down so I can keep the who's who correct in my head. Otherwise, I forget. Do any of you do that? Keep a notebook for the books that you're reading to keep track? I also do it for thrillers and mysteries, so I can keep track of the characters and the plot and try and figure out the whodunit. Anyway, I digress. So let's go back to Grace Calloway's books. So that one's called Hearts of Inquiry. And then the series after that one is called Game of Dukes. And all of the book titles are a play on the word Duke in movie titles, like The Duke Identity, The Duke Redemption. Right, now, do I want to do these as leaves, or do I want to do them as like string? Let's do these circles first. So back to the purple mauve, 110. Just do those circles. Do I want to do it as string or as leaves? I think I'll do it as leaves. And I think I'll make them blue. Yes. Or this tealy color. Okay, so back in with our light green. And that creates a cohesive look because we've got the greenish teals on the bottom and we've also got it on the top. So it creates a cohesive look. Okay, and now the cobalt blue. I also need my sharp tip for that. So yeah, that series is called The Game of Dukes, which I thought was cute. And though the heroes in that series are all dukes of one kind or another. Not all of them are noble dukes. Some of them are other dukes, and they all link together in some way. And the character in the first book is one of the siblings from the previous series. Right. I think we have time we might even finish this one today. It's not a lot. Let's start with the background. So our background is going to be cohesive with the other backgrounds. So for example, that one, so more of a greenish color. So we're going to start with jade green, which is 211, and we're just going to put a light layer of this over everything. This one is going to come out looking a lot more pastel-y because of the Pablo colors being more muted, but that's okay. So very light pressure, and for that I'm holding the pencil down further along the barrel so that I get light pressure. Yeah, and so I'm reading Pippa and the Prince of Secrets. And there's always a suspense element in these books. They're mainly historical romances, but there's always a suspense element. And I've really enjoyed most of the books in all of these series. Every once in a while, there's one that didn't resonate for one reason or another. I'm just turning the page. For example, the previous book in this series, which is called Olivia and the Masked Duke. I didn't really like, mainly because there's a significant age gap between the hero and the heroine. I think it's like 12 or 13 years, which was not uncommon in Victorian and Regency time periods. But I felt that the heroine compared to the hero was very childish and immature. She drove me crazy. She did really silly things. And I didn't like it. And she's quite whiny. Yeah, but the heroine in this book, there's no age gap. They're the same age. And so I'm happier. And yeah, I don't mind an age gap if the author doesn't make a fuss about it. So, okay, so say there's an age gap. Say the heroine is older than the hero by a few years, or the hero is way older than the heroine. If the author mentions it and then like moves on, fine. But if they start to make a fuss about it and it starts to take over the relationship and take over the narrative, I don't like that. That's tedious. Don't do that. Just, mention it and move on. Okay, now we're going to go in with the Malachite Green 180. I also need to sharpen this one. Okay. Okay, we're just going to put this in the shadows. Yeah, so if it takes over the story, I don't like it. Anyway, so I'm reading that one now, and it's pretty good. We haven't really got into it. I just started it, like I started it yesterday, so I haven't really gotten that far into it. And I don't know what the mystery is yet. So we will have to wait and see. But I like the heroine and the hero. What else did I do this week? I also watched television. I've started a new TV show. I finished watching Dateline. NBC, I think it's NBC that does Dateline, or ABC. Either ABC or NBC. I think it's ABC. On their YouTube, they have old episodes of Dateline every day. So I might still watch some of those if I haven't already seen the episodes. Okay, here I'm lightening up my pressure a lot because I want this to fade out. Now, if you want to get a glow around an object like these leaves, if you notice, here it's dark, but here it's light, and I've gotten a sort of glow. So if you like that, you can do that. Make it sort of glow. Yeah, so I finished Dateline, and so I've moved on to something else, and I've decided I'm still on a crime kick, but I've decided not to continue with true crime. I'll get back to true crime, but now I am watching FBI. So I take my time with TV series. I don't usually watch them straight away. I wait until there's at least a couple of seasons before I watch a TV show. Let's make sure I'm on screen. And so I know that there are quite a few seasons of FBI, and that's good for me, so I can start watching. And yeah, so I started watching, and I really like it. It's good. I think the plot lines are a little bit cliched, And, you know, nothing really special or new or original to them. They've been done before in other shows, but I'm watching it for the characters because I really like the characters. I like the female FBI agent and her partner. I like him a lot. He's fabulous. And they have a nice dynamic. I was just thinking that I also need to get back to, what was it called? Not Person of Interest. Oh, it's escaped me. It's about the woman who's, she has a photographic memory. It's the show that's like The Mentalist. Oh, it's gone right out of my head. Anyway, I need to get back to that show too. Okay. Oh, I like this. This is coming along nicely. We are going to need a darker color for the shadow areas. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get this glow. Am I gonna get that glow? Do I want to keep that in the middle there? Yeah, so I've been watching that. I've sort of been binge watching while coloring. I really need to continue with my audiobook though, but I've been watching TV while coloring rather than listening. So my audiobook is sort of being a bit neglected. Yes, let's leave that glow there. I like these pencils. They're not easy to work with. You need to layer and blend. But you get nice results with them. And I like this paper. Not as nice as the luminance, but I do like it. Okay. Yeah, so I've been watching FBI, and I know that there are spin-off series as well. FBI Most Wanted and FBI International. Okay. I think first things first, we are going to keep this highlight. So I want to take the white and just blend out the white. Okay, so again, make sure your pencil is clean. Okay. Let's just blend all of this. Okay. The white is going to make everything a little bit lighter. And then we'll deepen up the shadows again. Yeah, so I was watching that. Anything else? I was watching The Gilded Age while I was coloring, but then I found myself either missing what was going on and needing to go back, or not focusing on my coloring and making mistakes. So that is a show that I can't watch while I'm coloring. I'm going to have to actually watch it and pay attention, because there's so many characters and a lot of ongoings, and the dialogue is also really good, and you have to pay attention to what they're saying. So yeah, I'm not going to be able to color and watch that show at the same time. FBI is, you know, you can watch because it's not that intense, or it's kind of, you know, mindless, so you can just do other things at the same time. But with the Gilded Age, yeah, that's not going to work. I have to pay attention to what's going on in the show if I want to know. This Prismacolor white has created some pencil dust, so I'm just going to get a brush to brush that away. Okay, you must always brush with a brush and not with your hand, because if you brush with your hand, it will smudge. Oh, this has gotten like a blue look to it as compared to the other images on the page. So I want to introduce some green. So let's put in the opaline green, okay, to make it a little bit more green. Yeah, just in these shadow areas. Make sure to keep the highlight. I did a rewatch of Law and Order, and I was talking to my roommate about it the other day, and we were talking about the other spin-off shows to Law and Order, like SVU and Criminal Intent. I like Criminal Intent, so I was thinking that I need to do a rewatch of Criminal Intent as well. Oh, I don't like that. Let me get an eraser. 1 second. Would have messed up there, so I'm just going to erase it. With blending, it's easy to erase mistakes. With blending and layering, rather than just putting down hard pressure. Okay. Let's go back to my opaline green, yes. Because I was working with the malachite green, which is fine, but I need to first put my green colors in. Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna add that to my list of shows that I want to rewatch. And another show that I want to rewatch is The X-Files. I love The X-Files. And I only watched 1 or 2 episodes of the new series. Well, it's not new anymore, but it was a new series after the original series. So I need to watch that too. I really don't watch that much television. I mainly read. And the show has to be really good, like for me to keep my interest. Otherwise, I lose interest, and that's the end of that. Okay. Oh, I like that. That's come out nice. Let's put in some black. Now, we have to be very careful here because, as I said, black can completely overshadow a page. So I'm just making my pencil really sharp. And it's only going to be in the deepest shadow areas. Okay, so tiny amounts. There and there. Okay, I'm just gonna concentrate here for a second because we do not want the black taking over the page. We just want it in the shadows. Yeah, so I'm just gonna be quiet for a second while I do this. As you can see, really small amounts. There. And then we're going to blend it out. I don't want to put it there because I've got a highlight there. I think that's it. Yes, let's put, yeah, let's do the malachite green just to blend out that black. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like we have actually finished this whole page now. We'll have a look at it in a second to see how it went. And we have to start thinking about what we want to do next in these Saturday snippets. So I can either pick a page and work on it a little bit every weekend, or I can just work on different pages every week. So in the comments, let me know what you would prefer. Would you prefer to pick a page from a book and color it every week? Or would you prefer to color different pages every week? Also, if you want to color a specific page every week, do you want to continue coloring in Small Victories? We can make this a project book. Or would you prefer that I color in a different book? Okay. If you think that you want me to do a different book, okay, you can look on my channel. I have videos of my coloring book collection, and you can have a look and tell me also in the comments which book you would prefer that I color in. Maybe I'll put a poll in the... Well, what I'll do is I'll collect people's comments. If the majority of people want to continue in Small Victories, we'll just continue in Small Victories. But if people want a different book, I will collect the books that people suggest and make a poll. Okay? Even if it's not, decided for next week, it can be decided for next month or in the future. So please, in the comments, let me know what you would prefer. Okay? Either continuing in Small Victories, starting a new book. If it's a new book, tell me in the comments which book you want. Or if you don't want a particular book, but you would prefer me to color different pages every week, you can put that down as well. And we will see what people want. Okay, now we are just going to use an acrylic pen to do some dots. Okay, I'm just going to give this a shake. Okay, make sure it's flowing. Okay, we're going to make these stars white. So this little image has come out really different, and I definitely think it's because the Caran Pablos are so muted. Getting deep shadows is more difficult. Let's also do dots in these. Let's make sure I'm not smudging. Okay, do I want dots anywhere else? Put a couple over there. Sometimes I get carried away with my dots. And I don't want to overdo it. Okay. Okay, I think that's enough. Okay, so let's zoom out and look at the whole page and see what we have. Right, so these are our small little nature scenes, each one with a different brand of pencil. And I suspected that this one would look slightly different, even though I chose very similar colors. And that's because of the brand of pencil. But the pencils themselves work really nicely on this paper. And so I definitely will be using them again. I think I like all of the pencils except, as I said, for the polychromos. And I'm not sure that I really liked working with the Derwent Color Soft either. It created too much pencil dust. So I think the pencils that I'm going to be using primarily in this book are going to be Prismacolors, Caran Luminance, Castle Arts, and Caran Pablo pencils. Right, so thank you so much for joining me as I've colored all of these little scenes. And as I said, please tell me in the comments what format you would like the rest of the Saturday snippets to take. And I hope to see you for the next one. Bye for now.